What's up guys, Lvladen here, and today I'm coming at you with a video on how to do key bindings, or at least how to do my key bindings, and what my UI is, all my add-ons and stuff like that. We're up here chilling on the top of Ice Crown. Unfortunately, there was no pre-patch update again, so no catch-up gear. I'm sorry about that, guys, but hopefully next week. Alright, so my key binds, I've been using these same exact binds for probably like 6 years now, but prior to this, I always messed around with, what felt good, what didn't feel good, and I settled with these binds. For me, I use a lot of shift modifiers for my abilities, so any main target ability and the focus target equivalent is always with shift. All my macros are in my last red guide. You can catch those in the description of that video. But for me, right here, we'll go to our normal action bar, because I use the normal action bar after 6. I unbound these and then made Shift R my steed, and then normal R is my freedom. And then also with that macro, I can do a mouse over freedom on a friendly nameplate or player. So I don't know why I chose R for my movement key bindings, but my R and Shift R are always movement, pretty much for every class that I play. Just get used to it. Like R is charge on my warrior. Shift R is going to be Spear of Bastion, which is a root, which is sort of mobility. Like it's kind of a semi, hold someone in place, but you get the point. R is mobility for me. E and Shift E are always my burst cooldowns. Again, don't ask me why. It must have been like, all the way back in Wrath of the Lich King that E just became my my wings button, and then after that I relate like the shift version of that with another minor DPS cooldown, which prior to this expansion it was Hammer of Reckoning, and now it's Execution Sentence because we lost Hammer of Reckoning. But E and Shift E always my big burst and little burst. And then we needed a new button for bursting cooldowns because we got a third one now. We have Final Reckoning, so I have that on 4. And I just did that because it's like, it's kind of close. It's close to E. It's just right above E on the keyboard. For me, at least, on my keyboard. So E, Shift, E4 are my burst cooldowns. And then Q, I have for Hammer of Justice. I just have it on Q because it's very easy for me to reach. And then I can shift, and I use my middle finger. I hold shift with my pinky. And then hit Q with my middle finger to shift, focus, hodge someone. Or I just hit it with my my left ring finger. And yeah, that's about it for those key binds right there. It's E, Shift E, Q, Shift Q, and then 4. And then don't ask me why I have Consecration down here like on 2. It's just like it's a rarely used button. On my warrior and my pally, I usually had like, or at least on my warrior, I have Disarm there. And when Disarm became a PvP talent and you couldn't always run it, 2 just became kind of an unused slot for me. So, I have something in 2 again. And 3 right here is going to be Divine Toll when Shadowlands comes out. So I'm saving that spot right there. Sack is a button that I need to hit really quickly. And for me, 1 is a very, very comfortable button that I can just press while mousing over someone. So my quick binds, my quick buttons and binds kind of coexist together. Like anything that's easy to reach is something that should be quick. Now I have one exception for that, and that is my Blessing of Protection. For some reason, I chose Shift C for Blessing of Protection, and that seems like a really inconvenient bind for something that you sometimes need to do quick. This goes along with the fact that you got to use what binds are comfortable for you. And for me, C always used to be some sort of defensive cooldown, and I would have the lower cooldown on C and the longer cooldown defensive on Shift C. So that is why C is Shield of Vengeance and Shift C is Blessing of Protection. It's a bunch of tongue twisters right now. For my longer cooldowns, I have G and Shift G. So G is Divine Shield, and Shift G is Lay on Hands. And that is because, you're not pressing bubble too often. It has a 5-minute cooldown, so it doesn't need to be a keybind that you can spam over and over, but it does need to be something easy to reach. And for me, I use my pointer finger and I just go right over to G, and I can just hit it pretty easily. And along with Shift G, I have some like, you know, weird pinky on Shift and then pointer on G, Shift G. So there's that. And then this one's easy to remember. I have T and Shift T. T is for trinket. That is honestly how I remembered it back in the day. T for trinket. I'd use that and get me out of CC, and then Shift T for my human racial, which is also just the other CC break that we have as a human ret pally. That's good to see. V is its lone keybind right here. I just have V because, you know, I kind of couldn't figure out where to put Seraphim. And I used to have, let's see, where's here? I used to have Eye for an Eye on V, but I would never, ever, ever use Eye for an Eye. So I just put Seraphim on V where Eye for an Eye used to be back when it was kind of a viable option. Now we don't really use it because everyone has magic damage. But V is either Seraphim or Holy Avenger. One of these two. And now for my weird binds. So, on the right side of the screen, this might not be ideal for everyone that's learning how to play, but I put all the abilities on this side that I don't really need to look at anymore. My vision on the screen is usually in the center. You know, it goes left and right, but I don't need to look at my Crusader Strike Judgment, Blade of Wrath, or Wake of Ashes anymore because I just kind of know when they're going to be up from playing a lot. But you guys might want to bind these on one of your main bars down here, and you don't have to double up your skills either. The only reason I double up my skills is because I think it looks pretty, and occasionally I used to use, you know, macros that would be something else that really didn't need a cooldown. For example, I have it over here on the very right side of the screen. This judgment right here used to be Sanctified Wrath. So X and Z were Sanctified Wrath, and then I'd put the actual button for Sanctified Wrath down here. I don't actually need these on my bar. So 6 and 7 on my main bar would be like 2 Blessing of Sanctuaries, when in actuality up here it would be Z and X for Sanctuary Healer, Sanctuary DPS, something like that. And I have over here, I'll try and show on the screen. This is my Logitech G600. It's the same thing as a Razer Naga MMO gaming mouse. I have P, H, and U bound to these 3 buttons right here. It's just something that I remapped on the keyboard, so I didn't have to use Control 1, Control 2, and Control 3, because at one point in my WoW history, I just used Control 1, Control 2, and Control 3 on the keyboard. So I didn't want to have the buttons be, you know, Control 1, 2, 3. And after that, that's pretty much it for my keybinds. I do have Rebuke bound all the way down here. This is where my Shift Rebuke is in the bottom right-hand corner. And because it's all the way down there and I don't ever really look at this side of the screen, I did put 2 rebukes right next to my execution sentence. And forgive me if I sound a little sick. I'm just like really suffering now and need allergy medicine. So yeah, that's about it for the key bindings. Now let me get into the add-ons. And I don't really use many add-ons. I recently started using flyplate buffs probably in the last 6 months. But other than that, I typically just stuck with Gladius and details. All right, let's go to that clip now. All right, so let's get into the add-ons and the settings that I use. Actually, I haven't opened up my add-ons in forever, so let's get into this. Let's do the interface first. So I'll just show you guys my base interface. You can copy, pause wherever you want. You know, only option I really change in this is auto loot. You should never have sticky targeting on combat. Always enable target of target so you can see who your target is targeting. Personally, I prefer not to flash my screen when I'm at low HP because I'm just going to see my health bar and it's really obnoxious to see. You always want to have loss of control alerts on. Unless you're an old school player, which, you know, a long time ago they didn't have this in the game. You had to download an add-on to have loss of control alerts on, and you were used to not having it on, then, you know, by all means look up in the top right-hand corner to see when you're stunned, but personally I like having this on. In terms of display, I like rotate mini map like this. See, when I rotate my main camera, my mini map always has my my little arrow pointing forward. It's just the way I like the maps. For my status text, I always have the numeric value because it helps me determine when a player has gear or not. Social, nothing really. In here, you want to always have show numbers for cooldowns, and it's up to you if you always want to show action bars or not, but I typically do because I have all my bars used. Under names, I always have enemy units, minions, and minor on, so you can see totems and pets. Make sure you can click those and kill those if you want. It is sometimes annoying when you're fighting a Unholy DK or a Demo Lock, but it is what it is. You're not always going to be fighting them, and it is very important to kill totems against shamans and stuff like that, so it is helpful. In terms of camera, you always want never adjust camera on because, for example, I can hold my camera position like this and just press W, and it won't slowly turn and make me face forward like the default setting is. And what that lets you do is just kite away without having to constantly change the camera or hold the camera position. What else do we have here? Mouse, nothing really. That's personal preference. Accessibility, personal preference. And then you should always display class colors because whether it's Battlegrounds or Arena, it helps you distinguish a little bit quicker what class you are helping, healing them in your party. And you should always use raid style party frames. Again, it's a lot cleaner. It allows you to see debuffs on the target cleaner with the BigDebuffs add-on that I'm about to show you. And yeah, that's about it. You can also create different profiles. Like for example, I have my 2v2 and 3v3 profile set up right here, and you can just click auto activate on 2v2 and 3v3 and slide the frame height and the frame width around. And then you can just swap between your primary, which I'll use my primary in Battlegrounds, and your arena, in which case 2v2 and 3v3 would automatically activate you if you're sitting in primary, if you have it on auto activate with 2 and 3 player groups. All right, that's about it for settings. Now let's go over my add-ons. So the first thing I did when I saw this add-on that came out was, it's called eALign, and if I type /align after you download it, it gives you this nice grid where you can just make sure the spacing is, if you're OCD like me, just kidding, I'm not really OCD. I just like this to set up my my frames right here, make sure they're aligned, and then you can have this on while you're setting up the rest of your add-ons if you are looking for that equality on each side. And then to disable it, you just type /align again. In here we have my BigDebuffs. Now I can toggle a test and show an example of this. So if I click this dummy right here and I click toggle test, it'll see it casted a psychic scream and this target's feared for a minute. Not really, because this is just an example, and it shows there, and it shows it over my my own party frame right here, and it would show it on the raid profile if I was in a party, if a teammate got feared, something like that. Let's get rid of that test here. Okay, we're going to toggle it off, and for example, if I press Hodge on this guy, boom, you can see the Hodge on the side. Now the Hodge on the top is actually live plate buffs, and I'm going to leave a link in the description to this add-on in particular because you have to do a small notepad code edit. It's in a big purple box right on the front page of the Curse add-on when you click the link that I will drop, and just follow the simple instructions right there. You're just basically deleting 3 lines in notepad, saving the note, and then you're good. The next time you restart the add-on in WoW, it should work. And that is the add-on that allows me to see the Hand of Hindrance right there, my Judgment, my final, or not my final reckoning, my normal reckoning, and my Lawbringer debuff on the target. And then if I hit a slow right there, boom, Hand of Hindrance. But this add-on is very, very flexible for all classes, and you can remove whatever pieces or whatever debuffs that you don't want to see. So for example, let me find it right here. Live plate buffs, display conditions. There should be something that says never here. Let's find it together. Sorting. Okay, display conditions. Only spell lists. Mine lists. Yeah, it's here somewhere. I'm gonna find it real quick. Give me 1 second. All right, we found it. It's under specific spells. If you want to add a spell to a list, you click the spell here. And then if you want to remove a spell from the list, you type the spell. You can find the spell ID here, or you can type the spell up here. And click remove spell. For example, if you don't want to see like a pet's mortal wounds or something like that, you can remove it right here. After fly plate buffs, I use Omnibar. I'll talk about test right here. You guys can see on the bottom of my screen all the interrupt cooldowns. Basically, I just use this to juke interrupts. So, you know, you can see when someone does not have access to kick you. And then after that, I use details, which everyone pretty much uses details at this point. Recount, dead add-on. Just kidding. RP, recount. You served WoW well for like 10 years. And then classic numbers. And the only edit I do to classic numbers right here is disable the Blizzard number so you don't see two numbers. So if you don't disable this, let me show you guys real quick. You'll see, look at this, you see double of all the numbers that are appearing on this screen. So basically you just want to disable that. And you're good. All right, that's about it for my keybinds and add-ons I use at the moment. Sometimes I'll use battleground targets, stuff like that, but right now not every one of those add-ons are updated. So I'll do something else in the future when the Shadowlands add-ons get updated. But right now, that's all I use. That's pretty much what I've only used ever. And yeah, all right, I will see you guys next video. Peace.